In this video, we're going to see if we can bring some life back into this old relic back here, so sit back and we'll see what we're getting ourselves into. So what we have here is a Case DI, so Case D Industrial. I acquired from some family members, and it's been sitting in a barn for 30 odd years. They said it did run when it was put in the barn, but it had some clutch issues and potentially a knock or a stuck valve or something along those lines. They weren't really sure. So let's just do a little walkthrough here. This thing is heavy. So apparently its history is it used to be used to shovel salt in Milwaukee, Wisconsin way back in the day. Like load salt into salt trucks and things like that. So you can see it's pretty well weighted down. Both the tires in the back are full of calcium. Got this giant weight on the back here. And we've got this monster bucket up here in the front. So if I can get this rig going, it'd actually be a really nice snow removal rig, but let's just take another closer look here at what we got going on. So you can see we've had some custom wiring done. You'll have that on these older rigs. I'm noticing here a little bit of drippage down here, so it appears maybe the water pump is leaking here. So that might need to be addressed. Let's see what we got up here for coolant. Yep, not much in there, so quite a bit is leaked out, so that'll definitely need to be addressed at some point here. I believe the motor is free. Yep, she does turn just a hair as I'm pulling on the belt there. I'm also told the brakes don't really work on it, so we'll have to address that. So this is actually a lull loader. I guess these were a thing back in the day. I haven't really seen any, but I haven't been around too many industrial tractors or things like this. Got ourselves an 8-track player right there. Look at that, with a speaker mounted on the side. Nice big antenna over here. Got our hydraulic control levers here. Yeah, you can see we're leaking calcium out of those tires, so that's not good. So yeah, we're gonna dig into this sucker and see if we can't get her running. So I think the first thing I'm gonna do is pull out those plugs and squirt some Marvel Mystery Oil down the cylinders there, just to, in case we have a stuck ring or anything like that. Even though the motor's free, we don't want to turn it over dry, so we want to get something in there. So I'm going to go ahead and pop those spark plug wires off and pull the plugs and get some Marvel Mystery Oil down there. Now, I looked, and the previous owner actually already labeled all of the plug wires so you don't get them mixed up, so they must have been in here working on this thing at some point, so that's good to know. Oh yeah, more evidence of leakage right there. Ugh, don't like it. All right, so yep, first thing we'll do is get that Marvel Mystery Oil in the cylinders, and I'll bring you back. All right, we got some Marvel Mystery Oil down the cylinders. Let's just take a look at the plugs since we've got everything out here, see what they look like. So this is, what is this one? That's number 3. That one actually looks pretty good. No, not real sooty or anything like that. Number 4, kind of the same thing. That one looks really good too. Now this is number 2. That one you can see there's a little bit of black built up on there, so that cylinder might be a little bit lower on compression. Might have a little bit of blow by. And same with number 1, a little bit. Not too bad though, but you know, that's kind of to be expected on something this old. So that looks good. At least there's no rust or anything in there, so the cylinders are probably actually in good shape. All right, next order of business, I think, well, that's festering, is we're gonna come over here to the other side, and I think we're gonna take off this carburetor and get that cleaned up, because I'm sure that's just a mess, and you can see it's got all kinds of grease and everything else on the outside. So we're gonna work on getting that taken apart here. So it looks like got our choke cable there, we got our fuel line right here, throttle cables on the back here, and then we just got 2 mounting bolts right there. Hopefully you can see that in the glare of the sun. 2 mounting bolts, and then she should come right off. Yeah, that's about it. So we'll go ahead and pull that off, and we'll crack that open and see what that looks like. So I'll bring you back once I pull that off. All right, we got our carburetor off. We're letting that old gas drain out of there. There's not too much in there. Let her go back to Mother Earth there, but she sure is stinky. All right, carburetor's off. This thing is just cake. So I'm gonna work on cleaning off the outside a little bit, and we'll take it over to the bench and crack it open and see how bad it looks inside. And then I think I'm gonna throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner for about an hour and let her go. So I'll bring you back once we're over on the bench. Alright, we're on the bench. So far I've just taken apart the 4 main bolts to get the casting in half. Doesn't actually look too bad in there, it's just got old gas. So this thing should clean up pretty good, but I'm going to go ahead and try to disassemble a little bit more of this before I put it in the ultrasonic cleaner. So I'm going to work on getting out some of the jets. I'm going to pull this pin out right here and get the float out and get the needle and seat out and that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm going to work on that stuff and then I'll bring you back once I got it in pieces. So stay tuned. Alright folks, I've got everything disassembled. I'm going to throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner here on heat for about an hour and get her going, and then we're going to go back over to the tractor and see if we can't see about getting some spark in it. So I'll bring you right back. Alright, time to get this battery out of here. So pay attention to which way the cables are, because some tractors are positive ground and some are negative ground. This one is actually a positive ground tractor because this cable was on the positive post of the battery and it goes to the starter switch. So most tractors of this vintage would be positive ground. So that's, you know, somebody's done some modification on this one. So we're gonna go ahead and get a battery in here and we'll see if we can actually turn it over. So stay tuned. All right, new battery's in. I cleaned up the inside of my battery terminals there with my little terminal cleaning tool here. Hooked up positive back where it was over here, negative back over here. So let's hit the starter button and see if this thing actually turns over. All right, sounds pretty good. Now I don't have any plugs in there, so obviously there's no compression, but it sounded like it turned over really smooth, no hard spots or anything. So now I think it's time to check for spark. So let's hop down and pop off that distributor and see what we got going on in there. All right, here we are. I got the cap off, the ignition switch is on, and I'm going to crank it over if I can reach. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? The points aren't opening and closing because they're not engaging on that lobe in there. So let me see what I got going on there. I don't know if they're just weight of adjustment or what's going on. So let me play a little bit and see what I can figure out. All right, guys, here's where we're at. I don't know if you can see this or not, but basically what I found out is there was so much corrosion on the points that it was pushing the points apart so it wouldn't engage on the lobes there. But I got her filed down, and now I don't know if you can see that, but we got spark. All right, I got my cap back on, so now let's see if we have spark at the plugs. I'm gonna have my lovely assistants over here hit it. Go ahead. Yep, we got spark. All right, we got spark to the plugs. So now we can go ahead and get those plugs put back in and see about getting the rest of that carburetor put back together once it's done in the ultrasonic cleaner. All right, I got the plugs back in, so let's just see how it sounds turning it over under compression. Sounds pretty good. Don't really hear any gallops or anything like that, so it sounds like the valves are working properly. So now we just got to get our carburetor back on and we can try to make it make some noise. All right, carburetor came out of the cleaner. I did hit it again with some engine degreaser and brake clean. It came pretty clean. Then I went ahead and I blew out all the passageways and all the jets and everything to get with carb clean to make sure that everything was cleaned out. I put in our new needle and seat, new float pivot, new, where are we? Idle needle. It's going to be up here. Yep, idle needle there. That one, the old one was turned out 3/4 of a turn from completely bottomed out. So that's where I set this initially. So hopefully that should work. So now I'm going to put my gaskets together, put the carb back together. I'm going to work on getting it back on the tractor, so I'll bring you back once it's back on the tractor. All right, folks, we got the carburetor back on, put fresh fuel in, ran it through the line until it came out clear. So we're ready to give this thing a go. So we're going to turn on the switch, pull the choke, and bring the thunder. All right, I had to turn off the video because you couldn't hear over the noise, but as you can see, first time in 30 years, she started up. So I'm gonna clear some stuff out of the way here, and we're gonna see what happens when we try to put it in gear, because they said it had some clutch issues. So we'll see if we can actually get it to move, and then we'll start looking into that there. So yeah, pretty cool. All right, so we're gonna try and see if this thing will move. So I did check the engine oil, it is full. I'm gonna take a peek at the oil pressure gauge and make sure we've got oil pressure. I don't know if this thing even has a voltmeter on it. Doesn't look like it does, so I don't know if it's charging or anything, but we're gonna try to get it started. I'm actually gonna see if the hydraulics work, and then we're gonna see if I can get it to move forward here. So here we go. Let's see, ignition on and starter. Saying like 20 pounds of oil pressure, so it's got oil pressure. All right, try the hydraulics. Nothing. Well, the bucket's going up. What if the strap is limiting it? Hold on. All right, guys, well, I actually had to cut it short here because I forgot there's not much coolant in this bad boy, so I don't want it to overheat. But she ran and she drove and did a little work for the first time in 30 years. So tomorrow I'm going to try to dig into that clutch to see if I can adjust it, because it is slipping when you put it under heavy load. I could feel that when I was digging and when I was trying to put it in the high gear, but I cannot believe how easily the thing fires up right now. It's awesome. So that was really cool to hear. And this is going to be a nice little working unit once I get all the bugs worked out. So I'll bring you back tomorrow. Actually, fast forward about 2 months. That was Labor Day weekend. Now it's actually November 1st. I didn't get to work on this much more because we had tractor pulling going on and had some other stuff going on. So I just kind of had to make room in the shed and back her in and let future Nick take care of the problem. So here we are. Future Nick is here. What I have done though is, I mentioned there wasn't any coolant, there wasn't much coolant in there, so I did top it off before I left then, and you can see it is holding coolant, so that's good. What we didn't do is address the clutch. So that's what we're going to tackle now. So that's going to involve me taking off these 4 bolts for this inspection hatch here, and then adjusting the linkage here. You can't hardly see it because of all the stuff in the way. So let me get myself set up down there, and I'll bring you back, and I'll show you what we're going to do there. So stay tuned. All right, I went ahead and I removed our inspection hatch here so I can see our clutch down in there. So we've got 4 3/4-inch bolts that just unbolt, and that cover comes off. Now I can see there's Permatex on there, so that's a sign that someone's been in here before, right? And I'm sure someone has, because this thing's been around for ever. All right, so if I can show you, hopefully, well, let's see, what's gonna be our best angle here? I guess right there. All right, so there on the left side is our throwout bearing, okay? What we're supposed to have going on here is when we push our clutch pedal up here, we're supposed to have 1 inch of free play before the clutch pedal starts engaging. Now, as the clutch pedal, or as the clutch facings wear, I guess this free motion decreases, not letting the clutch, having the throwout bearing touch the clutch fingers before it's supposed to, right? So you're supposed to have the free play. So like right now, the clutch is resting and basically engaged, right? If you get decreased free play, that means that there's pressure on the clutch, not allowing it to be completely engaged, so the clutch will slip. So what I'm seeing right now isn't good news. So we already have a ton of free play, but the clutch is still slipping. So it looks like someone's tried to adjust this, and there's further evidence there. Let me see if I can show you. But moving in here, there's a clutch linkage, right? So there's a jam nut right there, and then there's the yoke. The jam nut's already loose, so it looks like someone's already played with this and tried to increase our free play. So I already think I know the result of this, but we're going to go ahead and go through the motions anyways and try and see if we can't get this to be back to spec, which is 1 inch of free play from where the clutch rests here to where it ends, right? So 1 inch of free play. So to do so, oh boy, I apologize for the bad camera angle. So there's a pin right there with a cotter pin. I got to pull the cotter pin, knock that pin out that goes through the yoke, and then turn the yoke to try and play with that end play. So I'm going to go ahead off camera and pull that cotter pin, knock that pin out, and then start working on turning that yoke. So I'll bring you back once I've got something moving here, so stay tuned. All right, so we've got her to about 1 inch now, whereas before she was about, like, I don't know, over there somewhere. So measured 1 inch from here to here, basically, right? So that's a free play. All I did was, like I said, I took the pin out of that. Here, let me get some flashlight up there for you. Whoop! I pulled the pin out, and I turned that in, or clockwise if you're looking at it from this side, or I guess it's counterclockwise from this angle. But anyways, turned it in just a half a turn each time until I got to our 1 inch of free play. So now, I don't know if I can show you guys on the clutch linkage in here or not. Yeah, I can see both. Let me see if I can get talented here and hold the phone. Ooh, look at that. All right, so let me get up here. Okay, so now 1 inch before we start moving that throwout bearing. Okay, now, like I said, I don't think this is actually going to fix our slippage issue, because we already had excessive free play. We didn't have decreased free play. So if we had excessive free play, that means that through this whole field of motion here, the clutch should be sitting there engaged. So I think our clutch is shot, but we'll just go ahead and, give her a test, guys. We'll go ahead, we'll put our cover back on, give her a cold start, and see if the clutch feels any different. So let me go ahead and get that cover on. I'll bring you back when we do the cold start and when we try to move. So 1 second. All right, we got our fuel on, give her some partial throttle. Still trying to figure out the shift pattern here, so I just sprayed some stuff on there. It's really hard to see, but we got reverse, we got third, And over here it says second, wait, what does it say? First, fourth, second. It looks like it's kind of a weird pattern. So we're gonna try to put her in a high gear just to see what happens right off the bat here. But all right, so we're in neutral right now. Should be in neutral right now. Partial throttle. Start with some choke. Key on. Hit the starter. Ooh, that was a good sign. This is a true cold start because it's only about 38 degrees out right now. Yep, as I suspected, that free play did not fix the problem. There was already excessive free play, or enough free play, so the clutch was fully engaged, so that means our clutch is worn. So the unfortunate news is we're gonna have to bring this bad boy in and split her to get to that clutch. So right there, I was just trying to take off in fourth gear, and it didn't even want to budge. It takes off okay in some of the lighter gears. You can feel it slipping in third and whatnot, but yep, she needs some work. Not good news. Well, with that, we're going to have to end this video here. I hope you enjoyed seeing this monster being resurrected, running and driving for the first time in 30 years. I can see it has some real potential, and in future videos, I am going to work on this thing. The next video coming up will be splitting the tractor and getting the clutch out, replacing that, and getting it moving. Other things that we'll have to do is get the brakes addressed, make sure those work, and also change that exhaust manifold because that seems to have a pretty bad leak, and the exhaust pipe is a homemade fix that is leaking as well. So again, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this resurrection. Please like and subscribe and leave me some comments. Until the next one, signing off.